The whole thing about King's Landing is supposed to be quite lush. You know, you've been up in the frozen north and everything, and down on King's Landing, people are supposed to be growing things. King Robert refers to them all being half naked and deliciously sweaty and gorgeous.
You feel that you've come to this really hot, sexy place, and there's a light coming through the windows, and a lot of greenery and plants on the balconies growing through.
And Malta becomes the backdrop of King's Landing again. We'll take the basis for what's there, take away what we don't like, and add bits and features that we do like.
For our ability to create a world that you couldn't quite pinpoint, Malta was a fantastic location. It's been settled successively by so many different people, so there's so many different traditions.
Anything Mediterranean, North African, Southern European, we can kind of more or less find here, and we can dress it to cover any period.
Malta is so exotic and mysterious and ancient. I think it really lends itself to the stories and gives it a lot of flavor.
It's much more sort of Mediterranean feel. They're near the sea, they can trade, they have silks, they have colours, there's more jewellery and more flesh.
Down in King's Landing, anything goes. You know, it's colourful, it's corrupt, there's brothels, there's gaming, anything goes.
Jury.
Lord. We have two large sets for King's Landing. There's a composite set for all the personal quarters in the Red Keep. And then we have the throne room.
The throne room is magnificent. It's huge. It's got this Pantheon floor. It's got these great big pillars. I wanted to try and make that feel incredibly sort of cathedral-esque.
The centermost prop in Westeros is the Iron Throne, so we wanted to get it right.
Obviously, we'd made a model of it in the art department. We had a lovely prop maker here called Gavin who made it.
It's quite a frightening piece. It is literally blackened swords bent into a throne, and it's melted and pitted and hammered and uncomfortable, which is what it's supposed to be.
The first time I walked through the throne room, I was really intimidated. It's the size of a football field. I didn't know how we were going to light it. I didn't know how we were going to fill it with people. I didn't know how I was going to move them through the space. Thankfully, we figured it out.
The throne room's pretty amazing. When you go into a set that they've built, and just the sheer size of that, it just makes you feel like you're in this sort of mystical story.
Each of these worlds is a real kind of pleasure to do. And then the other one is the Eyrie.
I was dumbstruck when I first saw the Eyrie. It was breathtaking.
The Eyrie, the look of that had to be quite quirky, have an uncomfortable feel about it, and a slightly sort of unhinged atmosphere. So a lot of faded tapestries, and the weirwood throne, which is the biggest piece for us, which is actually made out of real wood.
It's actually 3 different pieces of wood all welded together, and it's incredibly heavy. I mean, you have to get a crane to get it in and out of here. And I like the twisty shapes of it. We seem to go with this high height and everything. So
Jem was keen that we get a verticality into it. We have a staircase that's cantilevered out and rises around the space with the moon door at its centre, this kind of execution spot that the Eyrie has.
The whole throne with the gnarly wood and the greys, and it just all the kind of dusty feeling, the moon door. I mean, the sets are amazing on this.
It's unbelievable, really, because when you read a scene in a book, you kind of start to imagine what's going to be like. And then you get on set and you think it's better.
It's just more than I ever would have anticipated or expected. I mean, like, look where we are. It's incredible.
Malta was also chosen because it had a fantastic coastline. A lot of our story has to do with the continent separated by a narrow sea.
It won't be long now. Soon you will cross the narrow sea and take back your father's throne.
When will they be married?
Soon. The Dothraki never stay still for long.
Dothraki are a bit of a cross between the Mongols and some of the Native American tribes. They're a horse people. They live in these great, vast grass plains, and they make a living by conquering other people, much like Genghis Khan and the Mongol horde.
Khal Drogo is one of the most brutal and effective warriors in a world where violence translates directly to power.
They're barbarians. They're living. They're nomadic. Although they have a city, they're on the move most of the time. So we looked at lots of different tribes and people that travel a lot, grass huts, mud huts, that sort of thing, and then mixed all of it up.
So far, we've got rounded tents, which are more sort of igloo shape, with skins and cloths and all sorts of things. Then they get into these earthen tents. So we've kind of created another kind of structure, which is really nice.
Drogo keep my pussy!
We actually thought it would be much more believable if we heard them speaking their own language rather than have them speak in heavily accented English. David Peterson, a linguistics professor at Berkeley, essentially invented the Dothraki language.
When you're creating a language that's supposed to look like a natural language, first you must start with the culture. There are actually in Dothraki more words for kill than for love.
It's an incredible language getting your mouth around the word, like they're so expressive.
It's really worth trying to do it right because it sounds right, you know, and if you do gaba gaba, it always sounds really crap, so it is worth trying to master it.
When they first told me that, I was like, cool, I'll totally do it, and I got it, and I was pretty scared, but it was a great challenge.
We think that people are going to really enjoy being taken to this place that's both so recognizable and so different.
People who are not among the fan base will be absolutely amazed to discover a world that is so intriguing and so fascinating and much closer to their own experience than they would ever imagine.
This is so human and so true and so engaging, and yet completely foreign. And it's just an incredible host of characters.
You think you know them, you think you've got them pegged as what they seemingly are, but they really aren't.
It's very different from anything that's been done. I can't think of another fantasy which is as gritty and as real.
That doesn't really matter if you are traditionally a fan of the fantasy genre. It's once you become invested in the characters, you care about what's going to happen to them.
It's encompassing, actually. Without the costumes, it could be contemporary life. It's about people caring, fighting, loving, hating.
It involves politics, shifting alliances, greed, avarice, sex.
It's just the best story. You follow it and you get excited by it, and when you think you've got it figured, it completely changes its mind.
You don't know which way it's going to turn, what avenue it's going to go. There's always something new around the corner, something surprising.
Starks are always right eventually. Winter is coming.